There are 2 deaths under investigation in both versions of Insomnia. Erik Skjoldberg's 1997 Norwegian original and the 2002 US remake by Christopher Nolan. And it's the second one, the killing committed by the story's protagonist, that really defines the vast difference between them. In both films, a veteran detective, Stellan Skarsgård's Jonas Engholm and Al Pacino's Will Dormer, are sent with their partners to remote northern locations to investigate a teenage girl's brutal murder. The would-be sting operation to catch the killer goes awry. In the confusion and the mist-steeped wilderness, Engholm and Dormer mistakenly shoot their own partners. Both men instinctively and unconvincingly cover up their fatal error from the local police. But to make matters worse, the murderer has seen what actually happened. And the detectives get embroiled in a cat-and-mouse game with him,
Killing changes you know that.
all the while emotionally unraveling through lack of sleep in the surrounding near-permanent daylight. It's a neat high concept, Skjoldberg's thriller predating the Nordic noir boom of Stieg Larsson, Joe Nesbo and co. So there are no girls with dragon tattoos, or snowmen giving Mr. Policeman all the clues.
Someone killed her. Someone on the island that day.
In fact, unlike those hugely lucrative books and screen adaptations, Insomnia has little interest in its whodunit mystery. Both films reveal their killer roughly halfway through. Instead, the main focus is on the protagonist's mental state. You can see the remake's appeal to Christopher Nolan, even outside the chance in just his third feature to helm a big-budget thriller starring A-list Oscar winners.
Son of a bitch!
He'd just come off his indie breakout hit Memento, about a brilliant man hell-bent on solving a mystery who needs a degree of self-deception to fuel his obsessive nature. Insomnia connects nicely with this, fitting neatly into a trope he'd go on to explore in numerous later films too, with increasing invention and dazzling showmanship. Yet almost every online feature that ranks Nolan's films, and there are a lot of them, positions Insomnia near the lower end of his achievements. Is that a fair assessment? And does it make his version an insubstantial remake too? To solve that mystery, we need to retrace our steps. Skarsgård's Engholm is an outsider, Swedish like the actor himself, not Norwegian. The character is clearly a whip-smart detective, but a thoroughly unpleasant man. Early on, we, and he, overhear colleagues gossip about his dubious past. He sexually assaults a friend of the dead girl. He comes on forcefully to the local hotelier. To fake evidence and swap used bullets, he shoots a dog. All tried and tested plays from the Bad Guy 101 manual. Pacino's Dormer, naturally, indulges in none of these heinous acts. He rejects the teen friend's flirting. He's courteous and sincere with the hotelier. The dog is already dead when it assists with his evidence tampering. However, he's no saint. In the biggest expansion from the original, Dormer and his partner Hap are under investigation from internal affairs, and it's suggested that Hap is going to testify.
I'm sorry, I gotta cut a deal.
So when Dormer shoots him, there's added intrigue as to whether it was intentional to stop Hap talking. He's perhaps justified because we learn late on that Will was indeed guilty of the IA investigation. He framed a child killer who was going free on a technicality.
Did you mean to shoot Hap?
The smart local cop, Ellie Burr, who idolizes Will and figures out his shooting of Hap, is even willing to forgive him for this, and it's pretty clear that she's the audience surrogate in this respect.
Nobody needs to know.
That's because Will is exceptional, able to see things ordinary men just cannot.
The second I met this guy Dobbs, I knew he was guilty.
His bad deed is done in pursuit of the greater good, to catch the really bad guy. American anti-heroes are regularly weighted towards the hero part. And to ensure Dormer gets absolution, with his dying breath, Will and the killer Walter Finch having shot each other in a showdown previously, Will urges Ellie to do the right thing and not to cover up his crimes. Justice and balance to the universe are restored. Our man is redeemed. Skarsgård's Engholm neither offers anyone nor seeks for himself redemption. He shot his partner by accident. When the dead girl's killer, John Holt, is accidentally killed himself, there's no sense of justice being delivered. Just another random act that results in another death. Engholm will get away with his partner's killing too because, well, that's just what happens sometimes. His torment over the course of the film, alongside his insomnia, is not really driven by personal guilt. It's more by a dawning realization in the cold, piercing Arctic light that an indifferent universe offers no cosmic balance or karma. This is deliberately disorientating, unsettling stuff, and Skjoldberg regularly shoots Engstrom in ways that warp and splinter the spatial logic, as if no one is on steady ground here. He uses his hometown Tromsø's blank, bright spaces as ironic counterpoint to the murky moral quagmires on show. And the bleached-out lighting is a witty contrast to film noir's dark shadows. A film blanc, if you like. This opaqueness is mirrored in Stellan Skarsgård's largely inscrutable performance. Is Engholm someone who gives almost nothing away? Or a man with a vast emptiness within him who finally sees that great void all around him too? As a filmmaker, Christopher Nolan is like an architect. He constructs ingenious narrative grids and dislocated temporal rubrics. But it's hard to build the foundations of a logical, psychological thriller on the thick, ephemeral air of existential dread.
Have you read any of my books?
Everything in the remake connects, is grounded.
You didn't mean to kill her any more than I meant to kill Kate.
Hilary Seitz, the screenwriter, stated that since she found the original script, quote, pretty scarce, moronic, and kind of dismal, end quote, she added in backstory and motivations. It's the quintessential distinction between a European sensibility that welcomes ambiguity and ambivalence versus Hollywood's insistence on clearly defined moral lessons taught and learned. This isn't to deny the Insomnia remake's various pleasures. Considering it's Nolan's first time working on this scale, he easily passes his studio test. The big logjam action set piece is impressively staged. He proves himself adept with big-name actors,
You and I share a secret.
drawing effective performances from Robin Williams' quietly menacing villain and Pacino, though, let's be honest, Al can do a world-weary maverick cop, pardon the pun, in his sleep.
Back to work.
He even gets to throw in a few trademark chronological edits into what's effectively a linear police procedural.
Talk to me about us, you sick.
Erik Skjoldberg doesn't play around with time because his insomnia wants to stare down the here and now and face the inexplicable chaos he sees there. Nolan's insomnia sets up a high-concept ethical conundrum, then solves it like a chess grandmaster, a foretaste of his much grander games and greater time-shuffling enigmas to come. But any real horror here is a trick of the light. Instead, it's the Norwegian original that will truly give you sleepless nights.
I mean, what would it be like if he wasn't there anymore? Doesn't mean you did it on purpose, you know.